So how did you decide that Belmont was the place for you? Whoever wants to start.
I think for me, it was the kind of the small school feel, but it still had a lot of big school amenities. The coaching staff is one of the best, I think, certainly in our conference and in the country. And the teachers and the school atmosphere was just so, we never had big class sizes. And that was a big reason why I wanted to come to Belmont. And then also the opportunity to compete at a high level. I think that having that opportunity to do that in a smaller school without feeling just like another number or another just tuition payment, I think that was a big reason why I wanted to come to Belmont.
When I talked to Coach Cam and like the other coaches there, they just kind of had this mentality that no matter what I did my first 2 years of college, that really didn't matter. They still saw the potential that I had and still saw that I had more left to do, because honestly, the first 2 years of my college career, it was very bad. I was competing worse than I was in high school. And so for them just to kind of take that leap of faith for me showed me that they really cared for me as more than just a number, which at my old school, it was just kind of the other way around. Clearly, it was a good choice because they definitely brought out something in me that I feel like I was missing for the first 2 years of my college experience. So.
Definitely. I'm sure they're very glad that you stuck around. What has it been like trying to compete during this pandemic? I know that just normal life is difficult. I can't even imagine trying to compete and practice as a team. What has that been like?
I think from a team bonding standpoint, I think that's honestly been one of the hardest things. I might just speak for myself, but watching the rest of the track team at conference was incredible. Like watching Adreanna do 15 different events, I think, over the weekend or something crazy and succeed really well. That was super inspiring because it was one of the first times we got to see everybody compete, because I felt like we were all going to different places. We weren't really able to practice together quite as much or do kind of the team bonding activities that we'd like to do on a normal year, and we kind of had to stay in our own kind of groups. I was with the distance group. And so that was a little bit more difficult just to kind of get that full team atmosphere that we finally did at conference, and that was an incredible experience. But I mean, other than that, I mean, honestly, I think our coaching staff and our athletic training group did a great job of making sure that our season was about as normal as it could be. Obviously, COVID testing before meets and stuff like that, that was something that we'll probably never have to do again, hopefully. But I think as a whole, I don't think it was all that more difficult, other than just having to do things kind of on our own a little bit more.
What does a really great race or that really great jump feel like? Can you kind of paint that picture? I know that's very abstract, but...
Yeah, I would say that it definitely differs with the event, but with jumping, it's a lot easier to feel what a good jump feels like, because there's little ticks that I do and I can feel it raising my arm up before I'm about to jump. That's completely wrong. And I can feel it when it's wrong. And when I land and you look at the sand, it's just that was awful. I don't even want to hear the mark at that point because I just mess this whole thing up. But when I do what the cues that my coaches are telling me to do, I can feel it, because you can just feel the difference of a farther jump. And then when just everything is perfect. So I definitely can easily tell when I have a good jump and when I run a good race, if that makes sense. Because I really don't care what the race looks like in the hurdles, as long as I'm just I have a faster time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what is the mental part of it going into an event? Do you guys prepare, visualize you guys running really fast and going over these hurdles? What does that kind of look like, the mental part of it?
I think for me, racing, it's more about trying to figure out how the race is going to play out. With the 1500, which is what I do most of the time, it's a short enough race where it doesn't drag on, but it's long enough where there could be multiple moves, there can be multiple points in the race where you have to make decisions. And so I think for me, I like to visualize how I think the race is going to play out, whether I think someone's going to take it out quick or who's going to be leading, when someone is going to try to make a move to the front, and just kind of mentally prepare myself for all those different scenarios so that I'm not surprised because I've made so many mistakes earlier in my career when the race didn't play out the way I was expecting. It completely threw me off, and mentally I was fried already at the middle of the race. So I think for me, just visualizing how I think the race is going to play out and just preparing myself to hurt. I mean, I think that you got to get into the mental headspace of being like, this isn't going to feel good. And that's okay. Like, and it's going to, hopefully it'll hurt for the shortest amount of time possible. And so being ready just to get out there, enjoy the pain as much as you can, and hopefully get the benefit of it afterwards.
Yeah, I think something that I like to do, because usually when I watch a sport, it doesn't really matter what sport it is. If I watch it, I want to do it. And so I try to watch like professional, like long jumpers or sprinters do their thing, because then that motivates me to go out there and try to do the sport that I've been doing for way too long. But it just re-motivates me, I guess, to get excited about what I'm about to do. And then also, with long jump, especially because it's so technical, it really helps me to see what other people are doing, like how they jump far. Because while that's not the like golden ticket to jumping 7 meters, I can still see kind of their technique and then try to mock it in a way. And I think that's just like the biggest reason why I'm jumping further this year, is because I've been watching videos. And then also a big thing for me is like the confidence level that I have before going into a competition. I think that before, like the first 2 years, I would get really, really in my head and really nervous. And that's because I didn't really believe in myself, and I didn't believe that I could really perform at a meet. And so every single meet would kind of feel like, oh, here we go again. Like it wasn't exciting. And I think this year I kind of have to tell myself, like, you know how to do this, you can do this, and just go out there and compete and have fun. I think that I'm never satisfied, and that is an awful trait to have, but I really just try to like have fun, because I've been doing this for a reason. I think that track and field is a great sport, and it's so exciting. And so just to remember that is a really big thing for me going into a competition and like calming my nerves.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love that. In what ways have you seen Belmont's track and field program really grow into this conference championship contender?
Oh man, I think on the men's side, it's been fun to kind of see the development of just all the different disciplines, whether it's throws, jumps, hurdles, sprints, and distance across the years. I mean, we've had ebbs and flows. Obviously, I don't think this year was perfect by any means, but it's been fun just to see that we have like this baseline of expectation now, whereas before we were super thrilled to be in the top 3 in the conference. Now it's just kind of like, all right, that's another conference championship. We're in the top 3, and that's great. I think for the women's, and Adreanna will probably speak more to this, but when I first came to Belmont, for the women's program, just getting like 20 points at the conference meet was a success. And now to see them finish second and just almost feel like they still have some points out there and could have even challenged further for the win. Like it's so cool to see both programs both challenging for the win now, instead of us just being content with, oh, okay, we got like top 3, top 5 place at conference. No, we want to do even better, and we want to challenge the leaders every time. And so that energy, I mean, watching the women's 4x4 to seal the second place finish was, I mean, it was electric. I was standing with my coaches and teammates, and we were just so pumped. And so I think that kind of energy and that kind of like just feeling where we want both teams to do well, I think that's honestly been our biggest growth over the last few years.
Yeah, I can't speak too much on this because I just got here, but like based off of what I've heard, like Ben said, the women's team just really was not a contender. And I think that just looking at the size of our team, like we definitely are the definition of small but mighty, because it really like seeing all the girls just stand on like one after the next, standing on the podium was just like, wow, like that was just like really amazing to see. And I think what I loved even more was that like the competitiveness that it brought out. It's just like, we're not out here to have fun, like we really are out here to win. And for us all to come together, and we were like doing all the math, and we're like, okay, but if we score this, then we can get this and we can do that. And it was just so funny because one of my teammates, we should have done a little better in the high jump. I think that there was a lot of different holes that, and you know, you can't always expect for a conference championship to go the exact way that you intended to go. But the fact that we were that close to first really shows that, I mean, we could have given a little more in just one event and we would have been golden. So that's promising for next year. But I think that it was funny because my teammate next to me, she was like doing the math and she was like, they have to drop the baton for us to like get second, or they have to like do something crazy. And then she was like, wait, I think we can still get second. And she's like doing the math on her phone and she was like, we're 2 points in front to win second. So it was like that close. It was very, very close. And I'm just really, really glad that we were able to do what we did with kind of the setbacks that we didn't expect. So, and then like next year, even more so, there's just more potential coming into events that we lack, like the short sprints. So, I mean, I'm really excited for next year. And I think that we did what we had to do this year. It was like definitely a motivation, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was my next question. What are some goals for next year's season? But I think you answered them. Ben, do you have any?
Well, I'm graduating. This is my last sixth and final year. So really thrilled to have been here for as long as I have, but it's time for me to move on. And I mean, I hope that like Adreanna was saying, I'd love to see both track teams compete for conference championships. I want to see our cross country team compete for a conference championship. We were close third this year in cross country. So yeah, it's just keep watching and keep hopefully continue to climb up that OVC ladder.